Fast fashion is about making trendy clothes quick, cheap, and disposable.
Fast fashion is a series of chain retailers who basically are able to look at the runways and make garments really quickly and put them into a see now, buy now kind of retail environment.
Fast fashion is also about, when we say fast, it's not going to last in your wardrobe very long.
Average American woman is buying 64 new articles of clothing per year, half of which are worn 3 times or less. The only mass market retailer that can cater to this extreme need we have for variety right now at an average price point that anyone can afford is currently H&M and Zara. And that's why fast fashion has been the only segment of the fashion industry that's grown over the last 15 years.
Globalized production basically means that all of the making of goods has been outsourced to low-cost economies, particularly where wages are very low and kept low. And what that means is that those at the top of the value chain, they get to choose where the products are being made, and they get to switch. If, for example, one factory says, we can't make it that cheap anymore, the brand will say, well, we're not going to come to you anymore, we're going to switch to another place which is cheaper.
In the West, they're using everyday low price. So every day they're hampering me and I'm hampering my workers. This is how it is. They're competing, the stores are competing in there. When the stores are coming to us for an order and negotiating, they're telling, look, that particular store is selling this shirt with like $5, so I needed to sell it in the $4. So you better squeeze your price, so we are squeezing. Then other store is coming and selling, hey, they're selling it the $4, so the target price is 3. If you can meet the 3, you are getting business, otherwise you are not getting. Because we want that business so badly and we don't have other options, okay, every time we are trying to survive actually.
Ultimately, something's got to give. Either the price of the product has to go up, or manufacturers have to shut down or cut corners to make it work.
Cutting corners and disregarding safety measures had become an accepted part of doing business in this new model, until an early morning in April, when an event just outside of Dhaka, Bangladesh, brought a hidden side of fashion to front-page news.
Well, state media in Bangladesh say an 8-story building has collapsed near the capital of Dhaka, killing more than 70 people.
Rescue workers are racing against time, searching through the rubble, trying to find as many survivors as they can.
Hundreds are dead. Hundreds more might still be buried alive after officials in Bangladesh say factory owners ignored an order to evacuate.
Some 400 dead, hundreds still believed to be missing. Garment workers in Bangladesh paying the price for cheap clothing.
A huge crowd has gathered near the building site, many of them family members looking for loved ones, and they say they can still hear people screaming from underneath the rubble, crying out for help. Many are simply losing hope.
2 weeks after the catastrophe, and the death toll now stands at a staggering 931, making it the worst garment industry disaster in history.
I think one of the most profoundly impressing things about the Rana Plaza disaster was that news that the workers had already pointed out to the management the cracks in the building. They'd already pointed out that the building was structurally unsafe, and yet they'd been forced back in.
Many survivors are asking how they could have been forced to return to work when management already was aware of the cracks in the building and workers' concerns on the very day of the collapse.
A lot of clothes in American stores are made in Bangladesh by workers who earn about $2 a day. Last month there, a garment factory collapsed, killing more than 1,000. And a few months before that, a factory fire killed more than 100.
And as bodies are still being pulled out of the rubble, another factory in Bangladesh caught fire early this morning, killing 8 more people.
As story after story of clothing factory disasters kept filling the news, it was now the case that 3 of the 4 worst tragedies in the history of fashion had all happened in the last year. As the death toll rose, so did the profits generated. The year following the disaster at Rana Plaza was the industry's most profitable of all time. The global fashion industry is now an almost $3 trillion annual industry.
You just have to look at landfill, and you can see in landfill that the amount of clothes and textiles being chucked away has been increasing steadily over the last 10 years as the sort of dirty shadow of the fast fashion industry.
As we get sort of closer and closer to species degradation, to trashing our last remaining pristine wilderness, we seem hell-bent on producing more and more disposable stuff. It makes no sense. Fashion should never and can never be thought of as a disposable product.
I think after any big change in any industry, it takes a while to sort of feel and smell the dirt that comes out of something that is polluting. So I think now there is a change because you can't deny that the fast fashion industry is having a massive impact in developing countries.
This low-wage manufacturing or so-called sweatshops, they're not just the least bad option workers have today, they're part of the very process that raises living standards and leads to higher wages and better working conditions over time. Your proximate causes of development are physical capital, technology, and human capital, or skills of the workers. When sweatshops come to these countries, they bring all 3 of those to these workers and start getting that process going.
Is it possible that sweatshops are actually good? Yes, horrible, awful sweatshops. The word itself, sweatshop, it evokes terrible images of poor people and children suffering in third world countries, slaving away in awful conditions to make products for us selfish Americans. Thank you. What?
But it also means we are now drowning in clothes. Last year, Inditex alone made 1.6 billion pieces of clothing, and they run nearly 7,500 stores. Since 2005, they have been opening at a rate of more than 1 a day.